there, Spy fans! Welcome to the commentary desk for day number 2 of split number 3 in week number 1, set number 3, game 1. My name is Bart, this is Kevin, and we're bringing you AFK versus Cloud9 very, very shortly. This is the game of the week, I believe.
It's clearly the game of the week. It's the powerhouse matchup. It's Cloud9 AFK, top 3 North America really for the past couple splits here. And it's really, it's the story about Baskin. It's how is he going to fit into this Cloud9 roster?
Yeah, all the North America, the saga of the North American roster changes. Baskin factoring very heavily into that, kind of the center of all of it. COG and Denial and Cloud9 and all of the different teams all now involved. And he seems to have found a home, Cloud9. At least the players seem to be very encouraged by him. Of course, the organization always very positive. We'll see if they're able to take down AFK, who we were talking about this just a minute ago, have struggled with since forever, kind of, since AFK became a thing.
Yeah, after Cyclone Spin was picked up, I don't know necessarily if it was that Omega couldn't handle him or the team couldn't handle Cyclone Spin, but this new AFK lineup, which has traded out games with Team Solo Mid, has really been controlling Cloud9 all of Season 2. Cloud9, I think, have taken 1 game off of them since Spring Split, and that was in the Spring Split. It hasn't looked good for them.
Yeah, it's been some time. It seems down to AFK has just consistently made Cloud9 play the AFK game, which is Weekend never stops, and you try to deal with it, but that's been the key to success for them, is Weekend starting those fights and forcing the team initiations. I mean, there's a lot of hoopla about Cyclone Spin on this squad, but for me, it's Weekend that kind of holds the whole thing together.
Yeah, and Weekend's going to be putting a lot of pressure on Solo Lane too. The question is, and that's very unlike a lot of other teams. I mean, Weekend is one of the few junglers who focuses on that solo lane. But it's going to be interesting here as we get into picks and bans to see where we're going to see this draft elect to go.
Well, let's get right on into it here. Cloud9 AFK, a reprisal of the summer finals. And of course, Fenrir in North America has been a very high quality pick. And this is going to be our first really big time heavy hitter game out of North America. We're going to see some of the squads that really start the metas often after the balance changes. And we'll see them banning out Fenrir here. So expect to get some information about what are the things that are going to kind of continue being the most picked and banned gods. And no surprise with either of these assassins. The Mage, Ao Kuang, burst style that really Cyclone Spin helped put on the map. Factors in very, very heavily and prominently into metas in both sides of the ocean. Back on the Cloud9 g2a, Fenrir versus Athena here. Two solid bans. The Athena, more of a momentum-based thing. We've seen, even on the side of AFK, Kiki take it to mid lane. Oh, that was some time ago. It's always been a very good flex pick, especially in North America. And Posh going to be removed on the side of AFK. A little respect for MLC Stealth's aptitude with this god. And maybe hinting that AFK is looking at a healing-based composition, or at least some healing as part of the composition. For this team. And first pick to the side of Cloud9, I think no surprise there, that'll be the Bellona. Bellona, of course, she, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I think she's probably the best first pick right now, assuming that, some of the extremely high priority, high value gods like Ao Kuang are off the table, or maybe a Sylvanas if it fits into your playstyle. But Bellona, she doesn't have really any clear counter. You don't say take this when they have Bellona, although Geb fitting into a very similar kind of role on the Guardian side. Not much that does really exceptionally well against Geb, with the exception of some of the Guardians in the laning phase, but he's as good as anything as you can draft into the Bellona. And to round out the picking phase for AFK, they're going to select Freya nice and early here.
Yeah, this has been Allied's god for a long time.
Yeah.
And now that it's really back in the meta, now that you're not as punished if you die early on Freya, that he can get to these late game situations and have his boots, Fatalis, and really demonic grip online, the core items coming out from Freya, we're starting to see the rise of it. And this is a god that Allied has been one of the best at for a long time, so it's a clear pickup early on for AFK.
Yeah, it comes with at the expense, perhaps, of the Isis here, putting a little more pressure on Kiki in the mid lane, but Kiki's god pool is not something that we've seen people really have much success banning out. It's kind of a different skewed god pool than most other players. Isis, however, prominently featured in his god pool as well. Ymir, over there in Cloud9, a lot of control now coming out from this squad. There's that guaranteed stun that we saw really quite a lack of yesterday with the Geb bans, at least in the games I was in. AFK will take Serqet as well, which is a little bit feast or famine for me on Weekend. The god really requires some snowball to be the true initiator kind of powerhouse that he likes to play. If not, it has to be a bit more finesse. Of course, he's capable of doing it, but we'll see how it factors out.
Yeah, this is a good matchup against Isis. Not only is the ult Last Breath going to negate all healing coming out from that Isis ult on a single target unless it explodes onto, it spreads, but it's also, you're able to taunt out with Madness, the Wind Gust, which is a majority of Isis's damage early. Almost everyone is going to be maxing Wind Gust. You don't really see too many people maxing Spirit Ball ever, and it really shuts down that mid lane pressure that Isis normally puts out.
Next set of bans coming through, a Wheelish ban by AFK. I'm actually a little bit surprised to see AFK ban the Wheelish, considering they have that guaranteed knockup out of the Geb, but banned nonetheless here, and Nuwa removed from Cloud9, so I said not many people seek to really ban out Kiki's God Pool, but there's one pointed directly at him, and he's going to show us something new perhaps, although don't get your hopes up. This could still be Cyclone Spin's God. Unlikely in the 4th pick position, but also just as unlikely that Kiki plays a male God.
Yeah, very unlikely, but we did see Demi played in solo yesterday against Paradigm, but I don't think this is really screaming Cyclone Spin, although it does have a lot of burst and kill potential, a lot of outplay
I got to tell you, it
but
has nothing to do with Cyclone's ability to play this or whether or not I think he could play it. It's just the fact that it's being picked 4th. And like they always pick his character last.
Yeah, they're going to want him to really dominate the solo lane.
Always.
Yeah, and it's likely that this Bellona is going to go solo. That's where Cloud9 typically drafts it, but there's still that question. This isn't Omega. Most teams don't run the Bellona solo. Arachne picked up though. That is a Bastion God.
Yeah, that's right. And so, and I can't imagine that Cyclone Spin's not taking the bait here against Bastion. Like thinking that that's the Arachne, he's going to try to outplay him here. We could see another assassin, another big play assassin, in fact, at that. Draft on the side of AFK, or it could be the Osiris still, not selected so far. And yeah, of course, it'll be the Osiris going into Arachne or Bellona. It's just too good of a pick versus the the duo melee physical core with Anhur. I mean, it's a physical tri-core basically on the side of Cloud9, the Ymir support, and Isis factoring later on in the game as a support. But here, AFK, I think they have a little bit more of an even kind of power climb. Like they're really strong at all stages of the game is what I'm getting at here, where Cloud9 definitely very mid-game focused. Mid to early late game is their best timing window.
Yeah, for sure. Cloud9, I'm really interested to see the solo lane matchup, the Arachne versus the Osiris. Not something really we haven't seen Arachne at all in Season 2 outside of a couple instances. We have seen Kiki actually play this mid at the beginning of it, but it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to work in the solo. Oh, no. It is jungle. So okay, it is jungle Arachne. It is going to be solo Bellona.
Yeah, and that's, really, I don't think that big of a differentiation between the matchup there. Bellona, obviously the safer laner, but I think Arachne and her have kind of equally difficult matchups versus Osiris. But I guess the range on Bellona Scourge helps just a bit, as well as the sustain a little bit more reliable. And yeah, I mean, so the Cloud9 roster here, they have a really, really potent, like level 1 to 3 or 4, maybe even level 5. But then they definitely fall off once all the ultimates are out. And then they really open up again, I think, in the early mid phase. So we'll see. We'll see how much they can get the snowball going. That's kind of the goal for Cloud9 here. Get a few early kills, get the snowball off those early picks, and turn that kind of weaken, that weak level 10 timing into something that's a bit stronger. Where AFK, it's always kind of a momentum game in Smite, but they have a little bit more leeway on the execution standpoint. They have a really good kind of drawn-out team fight. Kiki, the only character that really has kind of the
100 to
dump,
0.
Yeah, 100 to 0 and dump all of your spells sort of kit. Everyone else can fight for quite some time. Obviously, the Serqet very mobile.
Especially the Freya and Osiris. The longer these fights go, the more it's going to really benefit Allied and Cyclone Spin. They're going to just be getting so much sustained damage off as long as they can be kept alive. And it's going to be hard to lock them down, too, I think. There's a little bit of dive potential coming out from Cloud9 in Ymir and maybe Bellona, but Allied should be able to kite them pretty easily. And actually, Allied going to take a lot of damage early on.
That's a beautiful leap forward there.
He's gone.
Barracuda. That's an easy kill. Barracuda showing off some of those skills. I mean, obviously that one is Jeff Hindla factoring in right in there, just walking forward as Allied. Fires off that last shot, that 50% movement speed reduction, couldn't get out of range of the freeze, and the heads-up play with Barracuda there. I mean, that is why Barracuda is considered one of the best, if not the best, hunter in North America. I mean, it's kind of the no thought reaction based. I'm gonna leap in and I'm gonna knock him back into my creep wave. Many other players may have tried to pin him there, but the guaranteed kill was backwards.
Yeah, that was just perfect execution, and that's Cloud9's duel, and they've been together for so long here, and just able to. The second Jeff walks in and freezes, Barracuda jumps. It was timed perfectly and a good and quick first blood for Cloud9. Anhur actually putting a lot of pressure as well onto that mid lane, forcing Weekend to lose a little bit of XP in the mid lane.
A lot of built-in synergy with this Ymir and Anhur combination. There's the obvious kind of impale into the wall that Ymir raises that's very, very potent for this duo, but the fact that that Anhur knockup impale, I mean, it doesn't suffer diminishing returns, so you can get a lot out of a freeze into an impale, I'm sorry, a disperse knockup from the Anhur, and you saw it really showed off there. I mean, probably half of his damage came from archers.
Yeah, and it's going to be rough for Allied now. Not only did he give up first blood, but it went to Barracuda on the other hand. And with Death's Toll, and he's going to be having a very early Devo gloves. In addition to that, the built-in pin on Anhur works very well against Freya. If Barracuda can, catch Allied out here without any minions or without any defense, he's going to be chunking him with just his auto attacks.
I'd say, would you agree Anhur is probably the best hunter to take into a Freya?
Maybe, probably.
I mean,
I don't see just the 100-0 burst potential, and then being able to force her ult pretty easily with one pillar stun.
That free pen as well. Incon, he's going to take quite a bit of damage here. Oh, just off the mark with that block there. You could see Barracuda thought he had the block onto the left side on the wall where he pinned him, and then Hinla just couldn't get the orientation exactly right on that Ymir wall. Well, we spent a lot of time over in the duo lane. Let's take a peek over in the solo lane for now, as it seems to be pretty much the stalemate that we would have expected between these two. Not much for us to say here. Just Death's Toll farming.
Just two warriors beating on each other. It happens in every matchup, and it's unlikely we'll see anything come of it unless Weekend elects to put some pressure onto this lane, which I don't think he's too worried about right now. He's going to have to focus on the dual lane and mid, likely, with Allied taking that first spill.
First blood, really, still the only thing separating these teams. About 1,000 gold difference here. The extra golden experience going the way of Cloud9 for now. Mid camps on the left side, they're going to be picked up on spawn by Cloud9. Looks like AFK didn't have that timer, or elected to take the back camps instead. And really one of the hallmarks of this third split kind of balance and where the meta is seeming to end up is there's a lot more opportunity for trade around the map, and there you see it. And those mid camps are a bit less valuable as well, and so you see teams more likely and more willing to trade.
Jeff was lurking around mid lane looking for a pick, but didn't happen. Now they're actually going to look at that.
Yeah, definitely some action on the left side here. Ymir's moving forward. Arachne's there as well. There's the freeze coming out. The stone shield. It's going to save Geb for the moment, but that is a big ultimate. It's nearly fully channeled. Yes, look at the full channeled ultimate. You almost never will see that out of Ymir in the early game. And Arachne, look at that. Anhur really taking his time and timing out that last hit on the ult. I'm sorry, on the stun. Barracuda knows he's dead. He moves forward with the Desert Fury, but he's actually poisoned a couple of his teammates. Over the top comes Weekend. comes Anhur on the bug. Weekend dead. Poseidon getting a lot done here, but no kills just yet. Yes, Chef Hinla taken down by your boy Allied. And now, unfortunately, Kiki does get stunned up by Stealth and nicely plays Spirit Ball there, but Stealth may find himself in a bit of trouble. No, Kiki, he'll actually just go ahead and kill the minions off. Back to the solo lane, where it seems that there's been a bit more action, but no kills yet.
Yeah, but that was a huge trade, and really benefit to AFK, or shoutouts to AFK there. That looked like they were going to lose that pretty cleanly with Geb getting picked off, but they're able to find Barracuda maybe a little bit overextended there, trying to fight Allied in the corner, and then just Kiki with the great rotation hits the huge two-man Kraken, able to pick up Jeff as well in response.
Right side mid camp still go to AFK. And kind of likewise, looks like Cloud9 didn't necessarily have the timer there. They're farming out minions in the mid lane. Jeff Hinla will turn the corner down and realize, oh, damn, they're gone.
Yeah, the mid timers are off for both these teams. Cloud9 has the left one, and AFK is holding the keys to the right side. Just going to go back to farming buffs as they respawn here. And I'd like to see Cloud9, and I'm assuming they're going to try for an early Gold Fury. That's really, when we see Isis drafted, that's what we're seeing a lot of is these forced early Gold Furies, because no one's picking up Hog anymore. You can see no Hog on either team, but dropping that magic circle, dropping the circle of protections, and then stacking up that damage, that's almost as much burst as old Hog used to be.
Yeah, and you say that about the Isis, but I've also said that many times about early Ymir drafts, and a lot of the potency of Ymir, and also Arachne. I mean, these are three really good early objective gods.
Anhur pillar also able to now it's gonna get broken now. But
Not anymore, Kevin.
It's very good at zoning along with the Ymir wall. They have a lot.
It's
to
just
go
the bonus.
for.
It's the bonus damage as well into the Gold Fury is really nice. I mean, shifting stands is a pretty amazing ability, all things told. Oh, moving forward to Jeff Hinla. He's gonna find the stun, the follow-up stun as well, coming out of Embassy Stealth. That's right, no beads. The ultimate actually a bit late out of Stealth. I think they could have stacked up a bit more damage, and yes, indeed, they're actually gonna die in return. Hinla gonna get jumped on and killed. No kills going the way of Cloud9 there, and AFK draws even now at 3 kills apiece, and gold, only about 300-400 gold separating the teams now. Dead even game once again.
Yeah, Stealth a little bit slow on that ultimate. If he had it there earlier, it definitely would have been fully stacked, but forced to detonate it. It seemed a second early, was a little bit worried about Kiki getting it off there, and
yeah,
it seemed like he was trying to save his ultimate.
That's right, yeah.
But it was definitely needed to finish him off.
Yeah, and you know, small miscalculation there, and they get returned on pretty easily. And Serqet waiting in the wings as well. You can pretty much always guarantee that the Serqet, if she's not ganking a side lane, is going to be able to make it to the engagement in time in mid lane with all of her mobility.
Weekend's been doing a great job of counter-initiating on both the 2 engagements we've seen. Cloud9 force, he's really come in and be able to find return picks when it looked like it was some clean Cloud9 wins.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and I don't think we should underplay that really at all. It's a Serqet successfully counter-initiating against an Ymir, who is the best initiator in the game probably still to this day.
With Blink Freeze, he's
with
top
Blink,
tier.
I mean, he's pretty much it. I mean, Blink Freeze wall and a slow. It's pretty potent kit. And yeah, Jeff Hill is struggling. He's actually got caught out twice now.
Barracuda and Allied actually boxing it out, but Barracuda looks like he's taking the loss of it, but I don't expect to see too many kills here. I think Allied's going to be playing fairly conservatively for a while, at least until he gets these boots online. That's when he can really start boxing Barra out.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, so Freya has, you know, base lifesteal in her kit from her passive. But on her with the Diva's gloves, he's actually now kind of overstacked the lifesteal she has, and he's not really too worried about losing a trade by a couple hundred HP. At this point, he can lifesteal it back a bit faster than the Freya can. Right side camps, they're going to go again to AFK. Left sides are up, it looks like, in Cloud9. Haven't decided to reap the benefits of those yet, but looks like now they're going to turn the corner and go for that. Oh, Andy's off. Okay, now they'll do it. Jeff reeling in his jungler here, but it's going to be contested this time around. AFK is going to see this one.
I don't think Incon wants to fight that. It's not worth it. They don't have the setup there.
Haven't seen Incon on Geb in a long time.
No, he hasn't really been playing it too much. It's always strong, though.
Little factoid for you
Baskin,
there.
though.
He's in a bit of trouble. Probably, no. They're actually not going to be able to force out the ultimate there, so. Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of the under-leveling on Weekend now, as he has been waiting in the wings and counter-dishing a bit. Hasn't been getting too much lane XP.
Yeah. Cloud9, though, continuing to pressure. This is what we expected to see from them coming out with this draft. There's a lot of early and mid-game gods, but there is another gank. Weekend's going to blink in. Baskin's actually going to be able to juke it out, but with that last breath active, it's going to be hard for him to fight. He's actually going to ult in place here, but there's nowhere for him to go. One more hit, and Weekend will finish it. Cyclone tanking the tower. Weekend can't find it. There he does. Nice gank from them, but in response, Cloud9 has started the Gold Fury, and that's that double ult stack we were talking about. Cloud9 secures it.
So fast. Geb's going to move in, and he's going to find a couple with the stun. Trying to move forward his Anhur. He's banished out right into the crack, and the synergy of this AFK gaming lineup showing itself there, but maybe didn't need an ultimate to finish off a pretty low HP Arachne there. Creeping Curse not going to be enough to pick up Hinla. Nice zoning Spirit Ball from Stealth as he moves back to the mid lane. Kiki not going to let him have it for free, though. Both of those daggers miss for the taunt, and they want Stealth. I mean,
yeah,
you can see AFK smells blood. They're going to try to push this wave in.
They're surrounding him, but Jeff Hinla there to protect Stealth. So AFK, that's what happens. You commit onto solo lane, you'll likely see a Gold Fury in response, and it's the 2 ult combos that you were talking about, Bart. They stacked up that Ice Assault, they stacked up the Shards of Ice coming out from Ymir, and you saw the Gold Fury bursted from about 25% to 0.
2 players on the side of Cloud9 just poured into that tower.
Two teleports?
Yeah, that's right.
Arachne
Anhur and Baskin, both with a teleport.
Yeah, we've really started to see, Baskin having teleport is no surprise there, but we've really started to see junglers, now that they don't have Hog, experiment with a couple more actives, and teleport seems to be the big one on the rise for them, just being able to be everywhere. They're not worried about backing, they're constantly getting farm, and it's really pushing the jungle to new heights.
Yeah, we've seen mobility be the favorite choice, blinks and teleports on the rise, and that's, I would say, you know, an exciting change for the game. If you're watching along at home and you're a fan of competitive Smite, you're going to see a lot more action versus maybe the more farm-centric hog-based meta of the past. But here we are, moving forward into Brave New Frontiers, 5-3 on the side of AFK Gaming. 10:33 into this one. Let's take a look at the graphs, please, Aiden, and you'll see that it is a very even game. There's been some back and forth, and the XP lead for the moment to the credit of AFK. The Gold Fury factoring in there just around the 10-minute mark. And yeah, it's this one, 2 evenly matched squads. And let's take a moment to talk about Baskin here. I mean, that first, really, I would say his first pro-level test there. 2 of the best players in the world diving his tower. And he bought a lot of time for his team. Space created there. Gold Fury, I'm impressed with the young man through his first real big-time showing.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really any way for him to get out of that, but the fact that he lived so long and didn't allow Weekend or Cyclone Spin to rotate to that team fight was huge. I mean, you know, even though Cloud9 got it, you actually saw Stealth there almost fall as well. If Weekend and Cyclone had been able to rotate, it's likely he would have been picked up, so a good showing coming out from him in the soul lane. But here's another test. Weekend's actually going to blink in under tower again, but Baskin smells it out. He's just going to be able to dash in. This is that jungle pressure, the jungle pressure onto the soul lane that we talk so much that AFK has, and so far Baskin's been surviving it.
But your Serqet, I mean, that's not a character that you draft for her ability to dive towers. I mean, they're having to force the issue a bit here into this solo lane, and Baskin's gotten, I would say, the better of it in both engagements. I mean, he did lose his life in the first one. The second one there, he's able to dodge it again, and you know, again, that's just not exactly, you know, Arachne is kind of the specialist for diving towers more so than Serqet. You don't want Serqet necessarily blinking right in there. She just doesn't have the HP pool, as we saw a couple times, to really sustain in there and find those kills. Plus, she's melee. Not really your best option for trying to find some free damage.
Yep. And taking a look here, more pressure on. Beads forced out by Baskin. Those are beads 1. That's pretty important. 180-second cooldown. And now Baskin's really going to open himself up to being ganked, but Weekend not giving up on this solo lane.
Yeah, he has the extra HP from the Runeforge build up now. The Smithy's Hammer going to provide a good bit, so, you know.
It's just, it doesn't seem like AFK is going to have the damage to take out Baskin anytime soon here. Unless Cyclone can poke him down to below 30% probably. Incon waiting in this corner. I think he's just soaking up XP. Barracuda definitely knows he's there. Yeah, he's just going to soak up the XP and rotate back to mid lane.
Looks like, I guess those wards don't spot each other. Yeah, there's a sentry there for
Yep,
AFK, right outside of the range. Oh no, not even close.
Not even remotely close.
Yeah.
Ward range was reduced. In
it was, yeah.
Past. It's so weird seeing it. And another blink in by Weekend here. Baskin, he's going to get taunted out. No beads.
This is what they need
Now
here.
He's going to get thrown out, but his ult in response, and this should likely be
enough.
a dead Bellona.
Yeah, AFK executing that nicely. I think the Baskin's just like, no way, they're still camping my lane. And he goes out to try to take his blue buff, and right away the response there. I mean, you see, they needed the full CC chain from Serqet to get that one done, but they're able to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, even Incon had roamed over there in case they weren't able to pick it up, but that's the 4th gank we've seen on Baskin in the past 6 minutes. I mean, Cloud9 hasn't responded to this pressure at all. Anister seems, he's really been focused on farming and not only has he not helped out Baskin, but he hasn't been ganking any lanes either.
Well, focusing on farming hasn't netted him more gold than the Serqet with a successful gank, but leading all players currently in net worth, about 100 ahead of the solo laner on the side of AFK. It's Barracuda. That's been Cloud9's response, I think, because they're happy with the action on the far side of the map as long as, you know, really their big playmaker is finding his farm.
And maybe that's what it comes down to, but this team, you know, they kind of have a timer on it. Arachne, while we do talk about like the Fenrirs and the Arachnes and the Thors falling off in damage, normally you'll have damage elsewhere, but I mean, compared to AFK, the later this game goes, I'm looking at AFK to take the win.
Yeah, Cyclone Spin's Osiris will be putting out the same amount of damage as Arachne, even with a tanky build-up through the mid-game when we get into that 6-slot period. I mean, unless Anister gets, of course, you know, 3 crits in a row, activating his attack speed steroid, maybe. But,
that's true.
You know, that's enough to blow up one character. Where Osiris, he brings the hurt for a long, long, long time.
Gold Fury spawning once again here, and a big group up from both teams, 4-on-4 in the middle here. And I think Incon looks like he wants to engage. He's staying away, but he's making sure not to get in combat. His blink is up. Oh no, it's down for 20 more seconds. Excuse me.
Yeah, give me sure the fight's coming here at the Gold Fury anytime now. Oh, just off the mark with that block was Hinla. But what do you think about? Wow, such an aggressive play moving in. They're going to find a couple with the Kraken there. The Ymir freeze a counter initiate quite low as Baskin. Down comes the Spider. Out goes the Ymir ultimate. That's enough to pick up Incon. The tank is down. Anti-heal on top of the Ymir. Cyclone Spin going to town there. MLC Stealth, he's going to get taken down between the Whirlpool and the Taunt. And they're going to try to chase down Baskin as well. Yes, the lash out of the Trident, and now the chase continues in the mid lane where Barracuda is the target. I don't think they're going to get another banish out of the Freya. No, turning around is AFK for that Gold Fury. And an interesting play of events there. I mean, Serqet kind of fearlessly jumping into 4. And Kiki's there, and look at Kiki's build. It's a Book of Thoth. I mean, that's a big-time damage cracking. You can see now with 6 assists after that engagement and a free Gold Fury coming his way. What do you think about that build-up, Kevin?
I mean, I really like the Book of Thoth, and it paid off there. You know, the Circle of Protection came out from Stealth, but it was actually after all 4 members had been hit by the Kraken. And then it really seemed like Cloud9 didn't know how to respond. They didn't know it was coming. You take a look at the wards there, right under the Gold Fury. That is an AFK ward. There is no vision for C9 anywhere near there, and we saw all of AFK just loop under Cloud9. They were looking to do the Gold Fury, but they got turned on so quick, and then once that Kraken came out, they kind of didn't know what to do, and all the members split off. Allied was able to pick off the players on the top, and we saw Weekend pick up a double kill on the players trying to retreat to the bottom.
Kiki's really getting poised to take this game over, honestly. At 2-0-6, with the Book of Thoth done, a Spear of the Magus on the way, he's got a 2-level advantage over the enemy mage. There's not really that much magic damage in response on the side of Cloud9. Ymir really the best bursty god right now outside of Stealth, who's a bit behind. So there's just no one can really go toe-to-toe with Kiki if he has his cooldowns, and he's got them.
And the big thing, too, is he hasn't had to invest that much in actives. I mean, actives
oh, they're going in here. Kraken's back up, and here it comes. Boom goes the dynamite, and down is MLC Stealth right away. They're just going to prey on him. The poison's going to be enough to kill Ymir as well, and it's going to spread onto the spider. Are they going to die for this as well? No, they rotate on her in does Cloud9. Not enough to save the mid laner, unfortunately, but it is enough to save Anhur for the moment at least. He'll go back and try to farm up his red buff. But you can see the pressure put out by AFK forces Baskin out of the soul lane. In the meantime, Cyclone Spin, he's taking his tier 1 and moving into the tier 2.
He's got a 3-level advantage on Baskin. These two were going toe-for-toe for quite some time, but now he's just taking a huge lead. 4 levels. Cyclone Spin is level 18 to Baskin's 14.
This got bad in a hurry. Let's take a look at these graphs real quick before the next fight could break out any moment.
Yeah, look at that dive.
Yeah, a straight dive after the 13-minute mark to about 10,000 experience, 9,000 to be exact, separating the squads. And yeah, you really see it now in those. Yeah, look at that. Yeah,
I mean that's about 15
advantage.
minutes when they were almost dead even. And then within 2 minutes, it's a 9,000 gold lead. Anhur, his beads are going to be popped, his ult's going to be forced. And those are beads too, so they're going to be down for quite some time. But AFK Gaming has just really been steamrolling ever since they took that Gold Fury.
My. How quickly the tables turned here. I mean, now all of a sudden, it's really bad, and their backs are up against the wall now in Cloud9. They had the really strong level 1. They didn't get much done there. They had the really strong kind of mid-game period after. I mean, the 10-minute time wasn't that great for them. It was a lot of getting dove for Baskin, and they made the room for the Gold Fury. And that was really a bright, shining moment for Cloud9. They had an opportunity to turn the game there, and that's what really helped keep it even. But then, I mean, AFK Gaming, around that 15-minute mark, when Cloud9 should be hitting one of their more powerful timings after their early laning phase, have just steamrolled right through them.
Yeah, and an 18-minute Deathbringer completed by a Weekend.
Oh my.
And now we have Spear of the Magus done on Kiki. Huge damage items, huge damage increases coming out from them when Cloud9 is really just struggling to finish their third items.
And, Cloud9 has selected a lot of momentum-based characters you don't want to play from behind. Deathbringer, not going to find the crit there, but that ultimate should be enough. Yeah, MLC Stealth's going to die here, most likely. One last tick is going to be enough, even healing up just a bit there. Barracuda hasn't started rotating just yet. Anhur, he's going deep underneath the tower.
Yeah, he's just trying to get out there, and Cyclone Spin, once again, rotates under Stealth, and this time able to pick him up. Last time wasn't able to, and we actually see, it took Stealth a while to get beads. He finally gets them, and he still can't survive the gank.
They're completely pinned in, is Cloud9. I mean, so much of the map is denied to them now. The crit's in the jungle. Oh, and look at Weekend. He's knocked up out of the ambush. He's going to beads. He's going to dodge and juke. Won't take too much damage, but maybe he's overstayed his welcome now. He's going to pull that spiderweb quite some way. They've gotten Arachne out of the base, but forced to fight off the spiderlings is the Serqet, unable to re-engage there. But re-engaging is Cyclone Spin, and he'll get that kill onto the Ymir. In the mid lane now, Poseidon going to try to go toe-to-toe with Bellona, but that bludgeon just does too much damage to mages.
Yeah, and, Kiki not having any of it, Weekend just trying to get out, and AFK Gaming, they're going to take a couple picks. Not only that, but, I mean, tier 1 on the left side as well, Allied, able to pick that up, and it just seems Cloud9 is just losing on all parts of the map. It's not even like right now AFK was grouping up. They're just winning individually and then forcing Cloud9 together, finding picks, and then taking towers as well.
Nice game sense here from Cyclone Spin. I don't think he has a ward to spot out this, but 3 members. Oh, yep, no, they were just stacked up on top of it. That's how good the ward was. They were all standing on it.
He knew where they were.
Yep, knew exactly where they were, and he'll dodge that gank. Time wasted from Cloud9, time that they just can't really waste.
Barracuda has been doing a nice job of keeping even relative to his team. He actually has a gold lead, a very slight, about 20. I mean, it's dead even to Allied right now, but he's staying relevant compared to the rest of his team, who is pretty far behind. I mean, 4 levels on the soul laner as Cyclone Spin hits level 20, 2 levels on the jungler, and then 3 levels on the mid lane.
And yeah, I mean, we were, giving the laurels and the praise to Baskin, but now he finds himself 4 levels behind still, Cyclone Spin. But that'll start shrinking now, of course, as Cyclone Spin can't actually get any stronger from levels. Experience means nothing to the man now. It's all gold. And you can see very similar buildups between the two gods, with the exception of a mystical male separating them. That's how much farm Cyclone's gotten. Since the team fighting has really begun, Cloud9 forced to pull their soul laner so often to try to bail out, and Stealth really struggling to get his farm online.
Anister, he's trying to secure this attack speed buff, but he may commit too much to it. I mean, AFK is kind of just sitting there waiting for them to get out of position, but it doesn't look like they want to fight without Kiki, and especially with Cyclone there over in right lane, and all 5 members of Cloud9 grouped up.
Yeah, Cyclone, his teleport isn't up, so they probably don't want to engage too much, but it'll be up in about 30 seconds, so if they can stall that long, he's going to continue farming the right side and force Cloud9 to spread the map. But I mean, they were forced to just 5-man to take a buff. So there's so much that AFK can do here to make the room for Cyclone. Half of Anhur's HP gone right away. Another crit comes through.
Done.
And there it is. Anhur off the map. That should open up the Gold Fury for free.
I mean, tier 2 tower on right's falling as well. I mean, this is a great decision by the team as a whole. AFK Gaming, they weren't trying to force the Gold Fury. They were just looking for a pick. They got their pick, and during that entire time, Cyclone's just split pushing, and Cloud9, it's not responding at all to either of them. They lose the tower, they lose the Gold Fury uncontested.
And that's really where AFK Gaming's lead wasn't that large. Their actual gold net worth lead wasn't huge. It was around 5,500 going into that last engagement. But now it's going to drop down with 1 pick, 1 tower, and 1 Gold Fury. She's going to be at max yield as well at 22 minutes.
Weekend looping around the backside. We've seen this so much. A blink in, but he's actually going to take the impale. Barracuda crippled out, forced to ult, and Jeff Hindle's going to charge his ult under tower, but it looks like AFK Gaming, they're just going to get out of that.
Spin was just waiting in the jungle for Barracuda when he leapt over that wall. How disappointing that must have been for Barracuda. And
yeah, and AFK, they're just going to force a lot of actives and a lot of ults out of Cloud9 and take a kill and take a tower. That just seems to be what they've been doing all along.
Yeah, with the exception of the last meetup that the two had at LAN, I mean, this is what it's usually looked like over the last few pairings when AFK and Cloud9 go head-to-head.
Yeah, Anister actually going really deep, trying to pick up Weekend, but not going to be enough. Actually, the poison just a little bit shy. Baskin takes out Incon as well. The Whirlpool's there, going to slow enough, and Kiki picks up a double. Great freeze on Allied, but it looks like Baskin isn't going to be able to actually pick up another kill.
He might. He may go down in the process. That's a ton of damage on Kiki. He can't really eat another Trident cooldown. The poke is just so good from these two if they're able to land that Glacial Strike. Can we take a look at player damage, please? I would wager to say Poseidon is the top. Indeed, he is. Look at that.
By a significant amount. I mean, he's topping
about
both
800
Bellona and Anister combined.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's done a lot of damage here. And that's this build-up here from Kiki. I mean, it's greedy. It's super greedy. But he got the Book of Thoth done with 1 kill, no deaths, and a few assists, and then was able to make 1 big rotation. Get another couple kills to his credit. A bunch of assists on that one at the Gold Fury. And now the snowball is just rolling right along. Serqet, she's well over halfway to her 2nd crit item. Probably going to be a Malice coming out next.
Yeah, Kiki had not spent gold in quite some time, just back and bought a full Chronos Pendant. It's not looking good for them. Now we have Allied also finishing off Spear of the Magus. Cyclone's been working on his 5th item, another breastplate, likely to be Midgardian Mail. I mean, there's 3 huge auto attackers coming out. This is a smart pickup for them.
Yeah, it'll be a Midgardian Mail. Although, man, where's the Witchblade? Midgardian's still the favorite item there. A bit more focus on tankiness, attack speed reduction on proc, not an aura. But on a guy like Osiris, you can really force them to fight you, so makes sense. Even the additional cost worth it.
Now it's a question of AFK, they haven't really been leaning towards the Fire Giant too much. I think they're a little bit worried about throwing there, which we have seen. We haven't seen too many big Fire Giant steals, but a couple here and there. But the teams have been a lot more wary about going for it unless they full wipe a team and can get it for free.
I think they're a little bit worried about Freya's damage output because Allied did struggle just a little bit in the laning phase. He's pulled ahead of Barracuda since the map pressures come out from AFK, but still Freya not really known for being the kind of shredding through the Fire Giant super fast until she's maybe 6-slotted. But maybe they're undervaluing the amount of damage that Kiki can do on this Poseidon. I mean, Trident's going to be putting out 700 or 800 damage per toss with the items that he has, so they can take up Fire Giant pretty quickly. But I agree. I mean, why bother at this point? There's no way Cloud9 is going to sneak it.
I mean, they've been winning doing exactly what they've been doing before. Right. Why change it? Blink it by Incon, though. Going to get a 3-man Cataclysm. Jeff Hindle going to try and counter Blink, but not going to find anyone. He actually may just fall there before Circle Protection even goes off.
Serqet very, very low. Barely able to get out of there. They're going to heal back up just a bit. Now coming in, Roman's Vic to Baskin. He finds a good moment to engage. The Kraken comes out, does a ton of damage to Barracuda. Anhur's out of this fight, but Serqet put force back as well. We may see just a really bloody engagement with no deaths. Nope, MLC Stealth will go down. Just doesn't have the raw HP to deal with what's coming out of Cyclone Spin. Cyclone's going to get Baskin here as well, and that's going to force Jeff Hindle all the way back to the well. No way he can stand toe-to-toe And what looked like maybe they were going to finally draw even on Cloud9 ends up being a 3-4-0 on the side of AFK. Barely couldn't find the kill onto weakened Serqet.
Yeah, I mean, that looked like a great fight, and Barracuda actually no beads available, going to be stuck in that whirlpool. Jeff Hindler going to charge his ultimate, but I mean, he doesn't have the damage to deal with this anymore. And Cyclone Spin, just like he did under Tower, just tanking through, just slowing everyone. He's going to pick up Jeff in response. That's going to be 5 dead, and is AFK... It doesn't look like they want to end. I guess they're a little bit too low.
The Fire Giant.
Yeah. 3 players
5 seconds
in red.
For Anhur and MLC Stealth. And yeah, the two of them could likely take them down unless they get the perfect CC chain off. This is definitely the safer play.
Yep, so they're going to take Fire Giant, take the Phoenix. No towers left.
Kiki!
Up.
You noob.
Brandon is crying.
Somewhere Brandon
right
is
now.
huddled into a fetal position
You know,
underneath the desk.
it's because he's playing a male god.
Yeah.
If he was playing a female god, he would not have died to that.
It's going to be okay, Brandon. Kiki, you can still like Kiki as a player. It's okay.
AFK, though, they're going to be completing some big items, and it's actually not Midgardian male. We actually see Hide of the Nemini Lion. Not an item we picked up too much, but I mean, it's going to be really hard for Cloud9 to fight into him.
We see it. We see it, and we see it almost exclusively in combination with the Shield of the Underworld, which both were purchased at the same time.
Yep, and it's just a ton of return damage. It just does a ton of reflects. Cyclone Spin, he's just going to be walking at them, and they actually can't fight into him without killing themselves.
Yeah, I mean, so like, you know, to simulate what it feels like to have these items, you know, basically put your thumbs in your ears and stick out your tongue and wiggle your head around. It's pretty much, I mean, no one can stop you. No one can tell you anything.
How many people do you think you got with that?
I think at least like 1,000 people did it.
Really?
I
that much?
I hope so. I flatter myself, Kevin.
Yeah, you're going to have to show us when we come back. I'm not exactly sure how that works out.
I'm no vaudevillian, Kevin. How dare you.
So Cloud9, they're going to just play pretty defensive here. None of them are level 20 yet. That's pretty bad looking at the 28-minute mark. AFK has been just stealing all the experience in their own jungle. It's going to be really rough for them to try and defend this. They're going to need a huge Ice Assault, and that's really down to AFK messing up more than anything. If AFK sits in the circle protection and takes a big burst, that's going to be the turnaround. But they're going to have to look at taking out Weaken and Kiki first.
I don't know. Does MLC even have the damage output at this point to make a big difference with that ultimate? It's not max rank. It doesn't have that Ratatouille or any real damage items online. It's still more of those kind of basic ability damage items. And this, I mean, he needs Spear of the Magus fully stacked and that full stacks on the ultimate to really make a huge difference. And even still at that, I mean, Kraken's going to way outburst.
It's a possibility. It's rough for Cloud9. They're going to need a miracle to win this. They're going to need AFK to throw it, and AFK is already charging up.
Oh, okay. 3-man Cataclysm forces 3 beads. Knockout coming through as well. Incon, he got what he came for. Phoenix getting poked down, slowly but surely, of course, as the siege continues from AFK. No healers on the side of AFK to really continue this too much, but plenty of lifesteal. Plenty of zoning as well.
This Weekend sitting in this corner has been working out fantastically. He's constantly blinking in, and there's already been a couple beads forced. He probably knows who he wants to go for. He's going to miss his madness this time, though.
They're going to crack it right on top of the ultimate from Serqet. And yeah, they're looking for Baskin right away, and they'll get Baskin right away. They know he was the issue. He was the problem child in that last engagement. His reinitiation really forced AFK back, unable to end it there. They'll take him out right away. Anhur, he's going to try to hold his ground, but the Shield of the Underworld doing so much, turning the damage. That Nemean line as well, going to make it very difficult for Anhur to do much to Cyclone Spin. And I think with that, yeah, the Fire Giant buff just makes him too tanky. They're going to walk right in here and take the Titan down. Only 8,000 health remaining on this bad boy. And AFK Gaming, they'll take Cloud9 down. Game number 1 is going to go to the boys in red with the green jerseys on black. Congratulations, AFK Gaming. Any minute now. There we go.
Yeah, that was pretty clean. I mean, considering Cloud9 had that really early mid-game focused team and they weren't able to get anything rolling. I mean, the Gold Fury they got first was more of a defensive measure against the early lead that AFK had took. And it really just kind of evened it out. It didn't give them any edge at all.
Yeah, that was the AFK game. I mean, that's looked like most of their wins seem that way. It's maybe back and forth a bit in the beginning, but once that initiation phase begins, the lanes start to break a little bit, and the chaos in those fights, maybe one of the best things that Weekend's at is chaos. But let's take a look back at the first blood here. This one coming to a gem of a play from Barracuda.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Hindler really set this one up. He just walks into Allied and he freezes him, and then immediate reaction, perfect reaction actually coming out from Barracuda, jumps on, hits the disperse, knocks him up, and actually throws him back into the creeps.
Buttery smooth. Yeah, really nice play from Barracuda
Like
there.
a knife through butter.
Like a hot knife through butter, as Reels would say. Well, Kevin, there's nothing left here now but the player of the game, which even though he died to Fire Giant,
That was pretty bad.
it's still Kiki.
I
So
really
cheeky.
hope that's in his highlight reel.
I really hope so.
I
too, because-
really hope that it's not. Oh man.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, huge 54 fantasy points pick up
That's
too. I mean,
that's the highest I've seen.
I don't think I've seen anyone over that. We've seen a lot of 49s, 47s, maybe a 50, but 54 huge numbers. And this
is
I
it.
think was the big crack
Yeah.
in that really decided it.
Yeah, this was a big engagement. No. This is just a long engagement into the Banish, into the Kraken. Boom.
Yeah, that was picking up Bannister at the back
There
end.
he goes. And yeah, that was the first one we had that Bookatoth finish. We were talking about. He's about to have a lot of game impact. Another one. He's like DJ Khaled, just another one.
Yeah, the big thing about Book of Thoth and why it works so well, especially picking it up early, is the stacks actually don't give that much power. I believe it's 20 some odd. Most of the power it's getting is all up front converting that mana. So a smart pickup, and it worked out well for Kiki.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. That's the reason that Poseidon is so dangerous. If you do get him going, yeah, the Kraken's there. That's all great, and his control's fine. But the Trident damage is out of control. Even you saw the Hunter's unable to really go toe-to-toe with that later in the game. Who did the best this game? Well, if you're playing
It's
on
gotta
Alpha
be
Draft,
Kiki,
it
right?
would be Kiki, so cheeky, 54. And the rest of AFK, of course, falling in. And look at that. In only the way that Incon could, he somehow outscores Allied.
I mean, he
Senpai,
has to.
please.
I mean, he has to. I mean, Allied is never going to outscore Incon unless he gets a Penta.
Oh, man. That's pretty funny. Who loves that? Who didn't see that coming?
I wonder how many. I actually didn't even notice. I wonder how many kills he stole from Allied.
I'm sure
I hope
all
it
of
was
them.
a couple.
I'm sure all of
I
them.
hope
yeah.
it was a couple.
But Weekend putting up 37 points in the Serqet. Did a nice job there. He was like 4-1 in the mid game there, and really, I mean, his impact was felt.
Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, it's always joked about, even with the AFK roster, about how Weekend always initiates. And even on Serqet, we actually saw him initiate quite often. He always looped around that back end, blinks in, and if he didn't force beads, he would always just last breath a player, locking them in place and then throwing them towards the team. So Weekend, a great showing coming out from him this game.
Well,